In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Molitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome. Looking down. I wasn't looking up.
Oh, man.
Hello, friends. Masters edition of The Deep Dive. We brought on two of the internet's most famous golf experts to handicap this year's edition of Augusta Nationals, the Masters. It hasn't been that long. It just happened. No. Yeah, I feel like we just saw the 86th version. Don't quote me on that. 86th version of the Masters. Here we are with 87 right around the corner. I'm excited for it. It's kind of the demarcation of the beginning of spring in my mind in a lot of ways. Here we are in April. April is a great sports betting month. There's a lot going on. We have Final Four winding down, right into the Masters, right into the NFL draft, all while baseball is going off as we are getting closer to playoff time for hockey and NBA. That's pushed back a little bit this year, but does not change the fact that we are in the home stretch of some professional sports, starting new professional sports, and we have these standalone events that are just awesome, like the Masters, to bet on. And with that, we welcome on Deep Dive own Andy MSFW, Andy Molitor, as well as good friend of the Deep Dive pod, and I want to say 8-time guest, 6-time guest, something in that ballpark. You guys know him as J-Maz on Twitter. James, welcome back to the Deep Dive. How are you doing on the eve of the Masters tournament?
It's exciting. This is my Super Bowl, and love sharing thoughts with you guys. Constant listener. It's weird hearing that the music on, because I listen to like 1.5. So when it comes on now, it's like really slow. I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Whoa,
but I love it. Happy to be here. Right? I'm excited. This is this is the tournament for golf, and kind of like I said, this is my Super Bowl, so I'm ready to roll.
Yeah. Okay. A couple corrections already off the top. November was the 84th. This is the 85th Masters.
Okay.
Most people think of it as kind of the quintessential golf slam of the year. However, it is one of the youngest, I believe, right? I think U.S. Open, the Open, and PGA all older than the Masters, if I'm not mistaken. But because it is contested at the same course year after year, it is the most well-regarded. It is the one most golf fans kind of get into watching golf by watching the Masters, because the pageantry, especially on Sunday, is just outstanding. I think dads and grandfathers all around the world probably look forward to this weekend as much as any other weekend in the sports calendar. So with that, we are here early, dedicating our annual tradition where Andy picks the winner of the Masters. It's happened now every year. Without fail, he picks one winner, and that's the right winner every year.
It did happen 2 years in a row. Bryson killed my streak last year. Man,
you had Bryson last year?
Well, we had like Bryson at 40 and 50 to 1, though. I mean, we had him from like February, and I was one of I luckily, honestly, it was just dumb luck, like most of my betting, where I went to do one of those Iowa trips where I just take a bunch of pictures of a sports book.
I remember this now. Yeah.
I haven't done that in a while. I should go do one of those here in the next few weeks. But now that you don't even need to do it, you can do mobile sign up. But I still should go find a new one just to get away from the kids. Jesus, it's been Easter break. I'm sick of them already. But either way,
Monday, dude.
I know. Well, no, they had Thursday and Friday off too.
Oh, okay.
Kids don't go to school anymore.
Seriously,
I remember they go to school they go to school like 40 days a year.
Well earned.
Anyway, I'd gone down to and I'm not going to give them publicity because I don't really like some of the way they do business, but I went down to a sports book who did honor any tickets as long as it was played within the calendar year. So I had a ticket for like 9 months on the Masters, which I've had longer tickets than that on stuff, but it was disappointing to watch Bryson just hit him in the bushes.
You had a sick price. You had like 30 to 1 and he went off
40.
Like 10. 40 to 1 and he went
40
off
to
like
1.
Close to 10.
There were 50s out there when it was because of James. He was kind of promoting him, saying, "Oh, and you were assuming the April Masters still." But
Mine
yeah,
all
it was
got
nice
canceled,
to sit on that as long. And I mean, it was still a very fun tournament. It was great to see, our guy. I mean, a great golfer won it. It wasn't one of those weird. As much as I enjoyed the Danny Willett year, just because, like, I enjoy a good melt just as much.
Oh,
Like,
God.
I enjoy the Van de Velde thing. Like, things like that are hilarious to me because they're more memorable, I think, than a crazy win. So the Danny Willett win was, and the fact you talked about the pageantry. All the stuff that surrounds it, the par 3, the Pimentos, Butler Cabin, that came into play because that when you melt like that, usually just to, go give an interview and go home, you got to put that coat on another guy. That was the worst, like the ultimate cringe moment. So it was cool to have a really good golfer win. It was a good tournament, even though my guy didn't come through. And here we are 5 months later doing it again.
I love it, man. Well, before we get into this tournament specifically, James, how's the season going so far? What are you, any kind of macro thoughts on how the PGA is doing in terms of kind of the state of the tour? I mean, it feels like the betting handles are bigger than ever. That feels like the interest in these Sunday finales of these what are usually kind of good tournaments, but not really everybody's that tuned in, dialed in. Well, it feels like people have been more engaged this year, and it could be because there's the overall the landscape it's a little bit more wide. Is this as wide open as it's ever been? And on top of that, you got a lot of good young golfers who people are learning and it's like starting to develop like connections to. I mean, am I characterizing the state of the tour correctly?
Yeah, I think you're right. And honestly, for all the shit that COVID gave us, the popularity of golf has never been higher because of it, really. It was the first sport back. And so everyone, if you wanted to bet on something, you had to bet on golf, or you just, or esports or whatever else was going on. I bet a lot of horses in COVID, for better or worse. I think we all
Horses,
did.
poker. Yeah.
But ultimately,
simulations.
Yeah, it's just weird shit. And now it's an actual sport. And when COVID came back, you had huge winners. You had guys that were some of the better players winning golf tournaments immediately after. You had Daniel Berger, who is a two-time winner prior. Obviously, Colin Morikawa won an event, and then followed that up with a major victory. So, and even if you look at like the landscape of golf in general from a recreational standpoint, more golf is being played now than ever before. I mean, it was like, I think like December, I wanted to put a club in my bag and I was calling around the different, used club places. They had no used clubs because everyone's playing. So, and, based on, the popularity, but also it goes so well with golf, with betting. Golf and betting is like peanut butter and jelly, really. I mean, there's so much shit you can bet on. Whether it's first round leader, whether it's every single day head to heads, whether it's an outright. It's just a whole plethora for anyone who likes to degen out, like, everyone listening and obviously me as well. So I think it just kind of unlocked what, I obviously watch it and I've been able to enjoy it forever. It just unlocked it for everyone else. And at this point, there's so many young stars. We finally moved past Tiger needing to be involved for things to be interesting because there's so many good players. He has basically created all these guys. And you get a full generation in now to where, you have so much talent. And the best guys win all the time. That's what I like. It's like every week you're getting an elite guy winning. You don't get a lot of random dudes anymore. So, all that coupled together, I think that this will probably be, nothing's going to beat 2019. Let's be real. Like I think the whole world was watching when Tiger won 2019. But outside of that, I would say this will be the most
sports moment. That was the top sports moment of
my life.
Hugged his boy, and oh my God,
it was amazing.
I mean. You nailed too, like the 2020 resurgence of golf. Not only the fact that like people could go play around by themselves. You could go hit against a wall, but some of these sports that you could play, it's no fun going shooting hoops by yourself.
No,
it's no fun going hitting the ball against a tennis wall by yourself. But like a round of golf by yourself when you have to be socially distanced, like I think a lot of people found a nice way to get out during this and still be active, do something outside when they were, losing their mind. And I mean, the phrase country club bookie comes to mind too. There's a lot of country club, that's where people find their locals a lot.
I bet it was actually.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows like a country club bookie. So, I mean, the fact that the timing just, I hate to ever, view Corona as a positive, but the timing of the pandemic combined with the dispersion of legal outs in different places, all these people that loved to bet at the golf course, whether it was on sports through their local bookie or just betting on the rounds. I mean, golf, you think of all the sports you can play with your buddies, like tennis, basketball, whatever, pickup football, even like golf is easily the obviously the best to bet on with your friends. There's a million ways to, bingo, bango, bongo, or skins or whatever you want to do. Like these people are just degenerates anyway that love golf. I mean, it was a perfect storm, and I'm glad to see it. It's a ton of fun to bet and everything. And even, I'm going to try to get out and play a little more. My kid wants clubs. I bought him, I bought him some tiny little clubs for Easter, and he hauled off and whacked one 40 yards. You should see these. Like the driver head is the same size as like an adult driver head, because like for the forgiveness factor, I think. So it looks like he's swinging a goddamn toilet seat on a stick. But he hauled off and hit one. So I'll be out on the course this year.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, this is I can't say enough positive things about this event. It's so fun to watch. It's such a spectacular production, from the television packages that they put together to really actually my favorite is Thursday and Friday. Watch streaming it on the app. Like it's so slick. It is so such a tailored to the to the hardcore degenerate, watching your group by group, or watch just sitting there at Amen Corner and watching the same couple holes but see all the golfers come through. Like there's a lot of great ways to experience this tournament. They do a really good job. I guess let's start with this. Let's start with Augusta National. People often point to Augusta as one of the places where course history tends to actually matter. And I'm putting this lightly because we've kind of, in the handicapping community around golf, there's been sort of this roller coaster of, well, if you're not incorporating course history, then you're stupid, like you don't have a chance to beat the book. And then, now it's way overrated, except at a couple of places. And I think, this is one of those where everybody pretty clearly respects the fact that if you have performed well in your lifetime at Augusta National or regularly, then your chances are better than if this was at an average course. So the US Open, moving around the country from course to course, this is a course that I think tailors to a couple of strengths. Obviously, lefties tend to play well here. It shouldn't be breaking news if you care about the Masters or if you've bet on this event in the past. But I guess, are there things about the course that you've heard this week, James, as we've kind of worked our way towards the tee off, that are worth incorporating into your handicap?
I think the very first place to start is November, and a lot of people are looking at the what happened in November, and DJ absolutely going crazy on a course that played very soft, and I don't know how much you can grab from that. Hopefully we never see Augusta in November again, and so that's one of those things where it's like, that golf course played a very specific way, and it's played like that in the past. I mean, Spieth went bonkers, even Tiger, while lapping the field, went bonkers. It's there. I don't think it's going to be there this year for all the accounts. And, we have to kind of rely on a lot of the qualitative stuff that we get from Twitter, from reporters and all that stuff. Yes. Hard and fast is what everyone's saying. They haven't had any rain, and hard and fast is going to equal poor scores. And the nice thing is we've seen a lot of golf courses in 2021 play like this. Like when we look at Riviera, when we look at what they did to Torrey, they made those golf courses difficult. And the only way, if you want to rein back the distance that is happening across golf, is to make golf courses hard and fast. You're not going to do it with technology. You're not going to do it with golf balls. Make it so if a guy's hitting a wedge, it's not spinning back. It's bouncing and rolling out a couple yards, because it's a lot harder to control. So I don't know if Augusta really gives a shit what DJ did, because it was a whole different time frame, but they're going to make that golf course as hard as they can, but also fair, right? Because you want birdies, you want a fun, you don't want a US Open type event where it's a pure, their US Opens have been complete shit shows where it's like no one's doing anything. I think that's a little bit boring too. But from everything that we've seen, it's going to play difficult, which will lend itself better to the guys with the good short games. To the guys who can hit irons, not necessarily even close to the hole, just not make mistakes, right? Okay. Because you can hit in poor places and be completely screwed, or you can hit in the correct places and be fine. Augusta does lend itself, and we don't have great strokes gain data from Augusta because they don't give us that stuff, but it does lend itself to bombers, especially right now, more so than it has in the past, more so than even iron players as it has, as most golf courses do. And a lot of that has to do because there's some pins you just cannot get it close to, right? So, your stroke gain approach stuff is more a pinpoint approach into greens rather than, trying to flag everything because, if you miss, it'll completely screw you. So, I think this is going to play difficult. I think it's going to be a great tournament, obviously, but I'm looking for guys who, inform and ultimately, I look for elite guys. I don't see a random dude winning this thing, considering the kind of field we have, considering the kind of form these guys have. So, that's kind of where I'm starting. And I feel like the course is going to play a lot closer to like 10 to 13 under than it is the 20 that we saw.
Where do you draw the line at elite? Top 20?
I would say probably like top 30 in the world.
Okay.
Yeah. And even if you want to talk, in the book, I would say I don't see how anyone 50 or above wins. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's completely fair.
And that's
agree.
We've had some strong agree on everything there. We've had some weird events here where early in January we had a WGC event. We've had match play, which was super weird. But this field, we were just talking about this in the golf chat with the cut. Like it is so incredibly hard to miss the cut.
Yeah.
And I think if we do, and that's what I think is so interesting about this tournament, especially if they make it a little tougher. I'm with you. I don't love like a Rocket Mortgage challenge where somebody's going to be 28 under and win it. Not only just because it's like, oh, you just ass blasted this course. It's not that fun to watch. Like it'd be like Tiger playing your Muni. Like, oh, you're going to drive all our fours and with your broken legs, you probably still shoot 6 under here. So I don't love that. I like it when you end up with a tournament with like 10 under for a winner because it does lend itself to a tighter distribution of the scores, and you end up with more people. Like nothing worse than a runaway winner, really, for watching standpoint.
Sure.
So if this plays to like a 10 to 12 under kind of winner this weekend, the fact that it's nearly impossible to miss the cut unless you're playing like absolute garbage or you're an amateur or you're 75 years old coming back to play it as a former winner.
Yeah.
There's going to be, that's what I love. There's going to be a lot of guys that are in contention Saturday morning. There's hopefully going to be a lot of guys in contention come Sunday. I love those races on Sunday afternoon to the finish. And, like we've had in the past, there are some times where somebody gets away from it, just runs away and hides, and so be it. There's some really, really good golfers here every year, but that's kind of what I'm hoping for in this field. And I'm kind of in the same boat as James here. I'm not looking for some 200-1 guy to take a tickle on. It's not that kind of tournament where, a debutante's never won.
Fuzzy Zeller begs to differ. My goodness.
Yeah. I forgot Fuzzy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
I forgot about we'll edit that part out. But essentially, like you don't win this if it's your first time out. And honestly, I doubt we'll ever have a Keegan again. Like just even in majors, like that sort of shit is so hard to do. So it's likely going to be someone near the top, but there's so many people near the top that it's not just like, oh, we'll take the top 4 guys and Dutch them out and probably win something here.
And even the quick follow-up to that, Justin Ray, who tweets awesome stuff, 35 straight major championships have been won by players in the top 50 in the world golf rankings. So, we kind of know where to draw the line. I think that's pretty clear.
What about the counter argument to this, which is to say there have been just an absolute epidemic of first-time major winners.
Yeah.
Like going back like the last 12, I want to say we've had 8, 9. There's like a lot of guys breaking their maiden in the slams right now. I don't know that that's predictive at all, but it does tell you a little bit about the mental makeup of these guys who are coming up. Like it doesn't take them long to acclimate to success on this tour. And, you don't have guys choking just because it's their first time.
And that's absolutely true because, these guys are playing some super high pressure golf tournaments since they're like 12 at this point.
Sure.
It's well established. So, we're looking at a guy like Xander Schauffele, never won a major. He's sitting at 18-1. Even Hovland's at 46-1, hasn't won a major, but has won every single tournament, since he was a kid. So you might get that. I'm not saying that's impossible. This course doesn't lend itself to that. I would say that's more of a PGA, more of a US Open type thing, personally.
Okay.
And like just the way Morikawa plays, like the way his game sets up, that was, I mean, I was almost mad I didn't have a piece of that when he won, because it was like, Jesus Christ, the kid is not by accident or just like by a hot streak, like legitimately you come in and play and you're like a top 10 irons player immediately.
Yeah.
It's like, well, fuck, this guy's gonna win some tournaments.
Yeah.
Like that, there's gonna be some fields where he's top 5 or wins right away, and sure as shit we missed that. But yeah, it's a lot trickier here.
Okay, so let's speak to that a little bit more. Characteristics that make a successful golfer here. I think everybody pretty much knows this, so this shouldn't be earth-shattering. I'm not giving away a massive edge here. This is all built into the pricing, I would guess. Driving accuracy doesn't matter as much as driving distance. Is that fair? In
100%.
general, if you're scoring, if you're competing, you're scoring on the par fives at Augusta, and in fact, you're scoring, I think, regularly. Like if you need to be hitting birdie on all of your par five opportunities to get into the -10 range, realistically, right?
It makes me think of Reed coming down the stretch on Sunday. Like, it is kind of hard to get in trouble with your first shot because he kept trying, and it's like, oh, he's in the pine straw, and I mean, it's almost like I feel like they need to do something with bunkers differently here soon, because like some of the hitting out of a bunker, I mean, I'm talking about the PGA in general, these bunker shots, it's like, so they're using them to catch the ball.
I have an answer for that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
don't rake them.
Bunkers.
Don't rake them.
Don't rake them. Throw some rocks.
That makes them very difficult if you don't rake them, right?
Yeah.
To me, that would be the answer. But anyways,
I mean, that's the thing. Show. So like, it's a lot harder to get in trouble with your first shot here. Yeah. So yeah, if you're not accurate, but you're still plenty long, I mean, hitting out of the pine straw is not that big of a deal. There's a lot of guys that are pretty damn accurate with that shot. And then, I mean, it's that second shot that can get you in trouble. And you roll off the green.
I would even take that a step further and say it's almost a given these guys are going to kill the par fives, because the par fives are very easy. And I would say to be successful here is how you play the par fours. Now, you cannot give away strokes and win. You can break even and win, but you need to make some birdies on the par fours, which is all against the field. Anybody on a par four is against the field. The par fours play very tough. So it's, must you be successful in the par fives? Absolutely. Most of these guys will be, because they are rather easy. To me, it's birdie or better on the par fours. Who can give themselves the opportunities on those difficult holes and not make mistakes on those holes as well.
Okay. So in that sense, scrambling matters a little bit.
So this is the hard part. And this is the hard part every single week handicapping golf. We don't know what the hell this thing is going to set up like, right?
Okay.
And we're trying to figure it out. And all we can do is use, what we see and what we hear to try and understand what the course is going to be. So if the course plays hard, hell yeah, that's going to matter a lot. So, and I look at Torrey Pines as a perfect example. I didn't think Torrey Pines was going to play nearly as hard as it did this year. And I made a big mistake with that. But so I didn't have a great week. I wasn't on Reed, which is, I'm always on Reed. So it surprised me that it played that hard. But as soon as you see it, you're like, holy shit, like this is set up for him, because he is the best scrambler and the most clutch putter that we have probably, and the guy that you want in those conditions, right?
He's good at getting those extra shots out. Yeah, get a couple.
He's gritty.
He's gritty.
He's a grinder.
And grinder. Yeah.
And so
he's grinding those edges. Yeah, definitely. Walking a fine line.
Very thin, right? Embedded balls, maybe. Who knows? Again, so it's very difficult to understand, to know exactly how this thing. If we just knew, that we can make a lot of assumptions right now. But we don't, and we're not going to until we see those first couple shots on Thursday, and then even then, they could just stop watering it and make it absolutely impossible on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, that's completely in the realm of possibility. So, trying to every single week, trying to understand how a course is going to play is like your first challenge, especially courses like like this, where they can do whatever they want with it.
Okay, so far I'm at upweight course history. I'm at downweight driving accuracy, upweight driving distance, upweight scrambling, upweight tee to green.
Can we talk about course history real quick?
Upgrade strokes?
Can we talk about course history?
Yeah, go ahead.
So to qualify for this golf tournament,
yes,
you have to be top 15 in the world or have won a golf tournament within the previous calendar year.
Some would say you have to be elite.
So yes, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at here. So we're it's like chicken or the egg. What happened first? Like, does the guy play well here, or is it just because to have course history, you're elite, right? So I'm interested in, like, there are very few guys who are like ultra elite in their careers who play shitty here. My example for this is a one-off, but there are many more. Molinari had terrible course history leading up to the 19 Masters. True. He was a fade for all the sharp guys. I was on him for everything because his form, which to me, recent form, is a way bigger indicator for how you're going to play here than anything else. It's actually not even close. Like, if you look at, like, other than Reed, like, everyone had won in the calendar year prior to winning the Masters, right? That was like a really simple thing in terms of success, and you can even take that further. So Molinari, terrible course history, awesome form. You have bad course history until you don't. Until you play well. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that
so
was such a price thing.
That was Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed was garbage.
Yeah, I mean, and Patrick Reed's an enigma. But, like, I remember that with James and the Molinari plays, and, you know, obviously it didn't work out with an outright. But I mean, the head-to-head's crushed because he was priced like a middle of the field guy, like a middle of the pack guy, because he had never played well, and he was in that final group. Which, I mean, it was fun fans cheering against him. Like that I almost felt
never
bad.
Like,
yeah. And it did kind of break him for a little while. He had a nice, season, but that's where some of this pricing comes in. And, you know, so much of what you did there was pricing pace. Like, hey, this guy is getting priced like he's going to play like shit just because it's Georgia. Because of this history. Okay. Whereas if you look at, you know, you take a composite of, like, last so many rounds, and then you keep breaking that down and you look for a guy that's on the upswing. Like, this guy he's played good over the last, like, 6 months. He's played even better over the last 3 months. Over the last month, he's really just, you know, maybe some bad luck, but still stroking it well. A good ball striker. He hits the ball a long ways. He's getting priced like the guy who played here last year, or he's getting priced like a guy who was playing last summer who didn't do so well, missed a bunch of cuts, you know, ejected at, like, the Honda early in the year, but otherwise has played well. And then, you know, you end up with these good prices on a few people like that. And I think that's not like a master's tip. That's kind of a, you know, how to look at some of the pricing on these guys in general, because recent form is, I hate to, like, go full hot hand fallacy, but when people are playing good golf, they play good golf.
Oh yeah, we'll get into current form because I have a couple pointed questions about that for a couple of guys that are at the top of the board right now. But to kind of close the book on course history, so then, James, would you say it is narrative bullshit then? That people who are like, well, you got to know all the greens run towards Rays Creek, and, like, you know, you write down your notes from 2005 Masters, and it comes into play because the conditions are exactly the same on day 3, and when you need that shot, you've had it before. You know, I mean, like, all that stuff is narrative garbage, you think?
Look, I'm not going to go that far because there's a lot of guys that I respect who are very fucking smart who think it's something, and I mean, look, they're smarter than I am, so maybe there's something there. Again, the way I handicap golf, I'm a logical based golfer from my personal experiences, my personal education. That's how I bet. I just don't think you step up on a shot, and because the grass is a certain way, you play better. Personally, I don't really think that. I think if you're striking the ball, take that anywhere. You take it to fucking Mars if you want, and you're going to play well. Now, if any golf course was there, is course history a key factor at any golf course, it would be here. I don't really think it's a factor almost anywhere else. It's a very tiny bit of what I put into my model.
Okay.
It's more here than it is anywhere else, but I also think the way that it gets weighted across the narrative way more than it really should. I guess that's kind of me towing the line, being a little bitch. And
that is a completely fair way to put it. So can we rewrite this narrative in a way that makes sense and say, look, if your form is hot, you can come in here and play well even if you never have before. But if your form is trash, maybe this is the spot you need to kind of get your season on track to a degree, right? Like, because we've seen some guys come in just playing like dog shit, and all of a sudden they're, they're reading the course like a book, and it's like, oh, this guy's got life. These guys got a chance. Jordan Spieth, is a guy that kind of comes to mind the last couple of years in that regard. But but
he's hot right now. Like
he's hot right now.
He's the definition of like
it's one of those things
form,
that's like this is probably the one place where if you've had success, you can probably remake that. Okay. I would say, but should it be weighed more than? I mean, I think that the general narrative is that it matters a shitload, and I think it matters a tiny bit. I guess that's what I'll
got it. Okay, that makes sense. It's probably overblown though because people don't have a lot to talk.
It's easy. That's the problem. It's just an easy way to analyze something. It's like, oh,
and there's not a lot of data that can prove people wrong because they don't give out the strokes gain data.
100%. Yeah.
Question here from the chat, and it got me thinking about Bryson last year, and I got to thinking about this too, as far as this does play in a little to the experience. And for the podcast listeners, I'll read it. Steven says, what do you think about the fact that players can't use green books? Does that factor in your handicap? And I mean, before James answers too, and I'm just going to add to the question, some of these guys who've never played a Masters, some of these guys who've only played one, maybe they've only played last November or one or two, like they've still played Augusta a bunch. Like they still have opportunities to come down here and play a bunch of rounds. It's not like, they missed the cut and they've played 2 rounds at Augusta ever. And they still get some chances at these greens. It just, they haven't played it in a competitive setting. I think that does probably make a bit of a difference.
Yeah. I first and foremost, I love it. I don't think there should be green books. I dislike them. I think they suck for pace of play. I don't really believe in them. I look at them personally and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I have no clue what it looks like when I'm trying to read one. And I really just think they're not necessary. It should be more of a feel game than, the green books make it more mechanical. When it comes to Bryson, I'm not worried about it. The guy's one of the best players on tour. Like he should be fine. And he's also an ultra elite guy when it comes to just his pedigree. I mean, he's won everything and he's played here multiple times. He had the first round lead here, so does the no green books, does it help certain players? Does it hurt certain players? Maybe mentally, like you're more field players like a John Rahm, or how Tiger putts, that kind of stuff may help. But again, Bryson didn't have a problem without green books when he was 6 under in 19, tied with Brooks for the first round. So I think again, there's a lot of narratives, a lot of stuff going on. A lot of it is just smoke. I don't think it matters all that much personally.
Okay, cool. All right, let's pivot then to current form.
Yeah, I feel like somebody was low amateur in one of those tournaments I talked about. Was it the Willett one?
Was Bryson low am? Probably.
I think Bryson was low amateur back then.
I mean, he won the US Am, so he qualified. So
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was. The so about current form. Do I upweight a certain portion of the calendar relative to, say, the West Coast swing? Like, do I care more about how they looked in Florida than I care about how they looked on the West Coast? Do I look at certain courses as indicators? I've heard a lot of people bring up Riviera as that kind of key example. Like they play the correlation is super high in terms of just the way people play here, they play there, right? You hear that kind of stuff. It all feels narrative-y, kind of nonsensy. But I guess how in assessing current form, are we taking really just 2021? And are we evaluating players how they played against equal strength fields? Because a guy like Dustin Johnson, it's tough for me to tell you what his current form ought to be because, he won a tournament in the desert that was pretty weak. He came to Riviera. He should have won that tournament. He was playing well enough, but it was a pretty unimpressive performance from him. Do we think he's even close to the level that we saw last November? I think there's a chance he's not. And, we know how hard it is to repeat here. I think is Dustin Johnson eating up too much of the top of the market? And what would you say about kind of evaluating current form relative to time and relative to the courses and fields played against?
I think it's the most important aspect to look at. And, for me, that's where I start. I start with, more, I shouldn't say, I start with form is the most important aspect to look at, right? So whether or not you want to break that down, 24, 50, 70, however many X rounds you want to look at, that is where you have to start your dive into any golf tournament, whether it's Augusta or, shitty ass Valero, whatever it might be.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think this question is twofold. We could talk about Dustin Johnson. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about there. But at the same time, Augusta is a place where players have won previously. It's a place where, other than Reed, which was an interesting situation in and of itself, they have shown form. Even Willett had won a Dubai tournament before he came to the Masters. A lot of guys were on him, right? Last year, obviously with DJ playing absolutely out of his mind leading up to the Masters, was the absolute prohibitive favorite. I bet on him because he should have been like probably 8-1 or 7-1 when he went off. Obviously, won by a shitload. So to me, this is every week. Every week I'm looking for guys who are hitting it well. This not because of the Masters, not because of what this tournament is. It's every single week. I want guys who are striking it well. Are they putting well? Yeah, that's a lot less of an indicator of future success than how well you're hitting it. So to me, it's no different than any other week. Now, if you want to talk about DJ specifically, I'm a little worried about that guy right now. I don't have any idea why he signed up to play last week at the Valero Texas Open and then withdrew.
The rage sign up.
That makes me think like, this
guy
what's
going on? What's going on with this? Yeah, what's going on up top?
But this happens, man. You win the Masters, and that's a lifetime achievement. Like, you've made it. You're done. Like that is, again, I mean, we can look at Tiger in 19, which obviously there's that's he already had his career, and he's a different human being. But after that, we haven't seen Tiger since, right? And I think, even Danny Willett, we haven't seen that. Like,
what about Sergio's victory lap?
Sergio, I mean, this is a normal pattern for winners, right? Who aren't named Tiger Woods because he's an absolute lunatic, right? I pulled Dustin Johnson 54th at the WGC, 48th of the Players, which the Players is almost a throwaway. He hasn't played well, but he's only played 4 times in the United States since the Masters. Right, he played in Dubai because he's taking the blood money out there in the desert. But I just, and he won there, by the way. So I mean, it's not poorly.
kind of a weak field though.
It was top heavy. There were some good guys up top, but I'm just looking at, like, I don't like a guy like, you can't lose 4 points on 4 strokes on approach at the Players and then just kind of flip it back. He lost 10 strokes at the WGC at concession putting, which is like, that's very difficult to do. It's really hard. So. Where his game is that that's a whole other question. I like guys who are playing well. He won't be on my card, but if he won, would we all be surprised? Absolutely not.
Andy, should he be the favorite?
It's hard to take too much of that in. Like, we're still talking DJ, the brain stuff. I guess, like, he was probably just mad about that match play. Like, he should have.
Weird tournament.
Which is a weird thing to be mad about. I think it just speaks to how competitive he is. Like, he should have won that group. He played pretty well, and match plays goofy. Like, who was it the first day who did not? He didn't have anything worse than a par, and lost his matchup. I'm trying to think of that.
Cantlay led the entire field in strokes getting tee to green, didn't get out of the group.
Lost his matchup. Like stroke play is such a weird one, and that's where, like, I think he's fine because he's still playing well. He played well. He just got really pissy that he didn't do well and win his group at least, and went home. And then he rage signed up for Valero, and then I think later that night over a cold one, he's like, "Well, I'm not going to San Antonio." Like, what? Why would I go to San Antonio? Like, no, I'm going to go east. So I think cooler heads prevailed. I think he's probably fine. And just he should probably be, favorite or co-favorite here.
I should make Rahm the favorite personally.
Some of the stuff he did down the stretch.
I love
Rahm though.
We'll get to
Rahm. Well, Rahm's got big dick energy right now.
He's got the nappy factor. We'll get to that in due course. Let's go down continue to go down these lines and just talk about your boy Bryson next. Bryson DeChambeau notably reinvented his game during the pandemic to add something like 100 yards to his drive. Just approximately. Anyway, it's wild watching him play. It's fun. And he is hitting it longer than we've seen anyone consistently hit a golf ball in a long time, which means a lot of these birdie opportunities for everybody else on par fives are going to be eagle opportunities for him. And similarly, the longer par fours, like hole 5 and hole 11, like, if you have distance there, all of a sudden that second shot becomes a lot more friendly. Do we have, and honestly, until he won the Arnold Palmer, excuse me, I wasn't sure he really had the form. I wasn't really buying it. Like I felt like he was a little, a little off this year. But sure enough, he goes down to Florida, he picks up a win, and he is currently in the 11-1 ballpark across the board right now. I feel like we ought to be talking about him in the same way we were talking about him in November. Not all that much has changed. If anything, he's just gotten, he's kind of shaking the public stink off of him to a degree. Is this? I don't know. I feel like he ought to be the tournament favorite. Am I missing something obvious, Andy?
I mean, I think a lot of people are going to take into account November. And, he did have a win. And man, when he's on, like people want to concentrate. And I don't want to say it's the wrong thing, because it's not the wrong thing to concentrate on, especially when you can have some of these short irons into fives. Like, hey, I mean, stranger things have happened. You can bet will there be an albatross? Like he's going to have some decent shots at he's going to have some decent shots at some of these fives. But anyway, like people do concentrate because he turned his whole body and hit a fucking ball over the water where, you probably shouldn't do that. Like fun stuff like that sells tickets. It gets tweets. That was every sports account on Twitter was retweeting that or showing videos of that. Like that was a big deal in kind of a ho-hum tournament. It was, it was like the highlight of the tournament, really. And he went in the rough. Like it wasn't even that good of a shot. Like I think he made birdie on the hole, whatever. But his putting like gets overlooked a lot. That guy can, just like what you saw from Spieth when he started to get hot, and it's like, oh shit, Spieth's irons are kind of saving him a little. But not only that, like he's reading every green perfectly. Everything is in or really close. Like he's getting hot. His putting is good. It's not, it was usually two sides. The putting and the driving just weren't there. When everything kind of came back to, a stasis, it's like, oh, Spieth is a good player again. Whereas Bryson sunk some nasty putts that day against, it was Westwood in the final group. It's like, you felt like Westwood was really pushing. And it's like, man, he's going to win this tournament. And then Bryson just sinks another one. Just ho-hum. There's another, 20-footer, bang, bang, bang. So if he doesn't get in his own head and he doesn't make some stupid, mistakes here with his second shots, hit him into the berry bushes and whatnot. I think he was just so amped up. He probably had way too many protein shakes that day. Like he looked, I don't want to say nervous, but like nervous energy. If he can just calm down and play how he plays, he should be one of the top few guys here, because you hit the ball 375 goddamn yards. You're going to be at a big advantage, especially scoring on these fives.
Distance matters here. It does.
Because obviously winning the Arnold Palmer was great. I look at his third at the Players as even more influential here.
Okay.
Because that's a golf course where you can't bomb and gouge it. It's impossible. You'll get in trouble. He only gained 1.8 strokes on approach at the Players, and he finished third. He was in the final group. Obviously, it didn't work out for him. JT went bonkers. 5.1 strokes on approach is like, that is where he people don't give him enough credit for how good he is at every aspect of the game. They want to talk about how he bombs it. One of the best putters. And, if he's going to gain 5 strokes on approach, he's going to be right there every single week. So, and he's a hard worker too. So, to me, I love him this week. And again, I always, for the Masters especially, I love pedigree. Like I like guys who have won shit, like won everything. He won an NCAA championship. He's won the U.S. Amateur. He's won a U.S. Open. When you just win that much shit, you're going to be fine down the stretch at a tournament like Augusta, where we've seen a lot of guys melt, right? So I like that as well. And, I think he can get it done multiple ways, which is what he's going to, you're going to have to do that.
There's the embarrassment factor too. I think he was a little embarrassed because he talks mad shit about this
he
course,
really did.
And he had to eat a little crow, where you're not hearing quotes from him this week.
So, great point. Yeah,
hopefully he's maybe not even like, I have to go out and win this. He's like, I have to at least compete here to make up for some of the embarrassment from November.
And that's a bet for me. I bet him at 13. So
okay, cool. Okay,
yeah, I'm going to be honest. He owes me, so go ahead and then whatever you have now, and then we'll hit this question.
I was just going to say, low am. His best finish year was when he was the low am, 2016. He was 21st. Since then, it's been a little bit of a headache for him to do well here. Anyway, yeah. What's you want to? I'll give the floor to James. What are the course correlations for Augusta? Muirfield Village in Ohio is one. Are there others? And do you? I guess I mentioned Riviera off the top. Do you weight that at all?
I don't. I just, to me, it's just no courses like this, especially. This is a very unique place.
Sure.
Especially with the undulations and the greens. I think that's the biggest thing. They are like roller coasters from all. I've never seen them. This is all from what we hear. I don't think there's a golf course that these guys play regularly that are remotely similar. They say concession, the WGC, and you can kind of see the flybys of those. They're absolutely bonkers, but I don't really think there are any, really. I mean, this is Augusta for a reason. Like, this is the Masters. Yeah. This is the most revered, golf course in the pantheon of courses played. So, you would look to your older, more classical tracks, like a Riv, obviously Muirfield courses that they've played a lot. I'm sure there's probably better golf course, better correlations that we've never seen before, to be honest. Yeah. Don't get played year by year. So I don't really factor it in much. And at the same time, Augusta stands alone. I would say that.
Yeah. Okay. But you're not betting Max Homa because Max Homa won Riv.
Yeah. I like Homa this week. It's his first year though, but I don't mind Homa.
I think he played last year. He got cut though, didn't he?
No, this is his first time.
Oh, it's the first time? Okay.
Yeah.
Debutant. Right. And, you speak about the greens too. That's another factor when you talk about, you talked about the watering and what they're going to do to make the course easier or tougher. Like, there are so many weird spots in these greens, and where they want to put the pins, like you can make a hole pretty easy because there's like valleys in certain spots. If you want to put a ball or the pin at the bottom of one of those valleys, like it's almost like a collection spot where you hit it within, there's a quarter of the green you can hit, and it's just going to wind its way near the hole. But at the same time, you can put some of these holes on top of a valley, like on a saddle, where it's just impossible to find your way anywhere near. And you're almost, they do this in other courses too. But I mean, sometimes there's holes where it's like, this is a 2-putt hole. No, yeah. Like I especially where they put the pin today, we're 2-putting, because if you go for it, you're likely chipping and then 2-putting.
And I think that's super important to note though. Like, the data that a lot of sharp guys have say that approach doesn't matter as much here as it does elsewhere. But that's not because you can't hit your irons well. It's because you can't get the ball close to some pins.
Right.
So you won't get those strokes gain approach numbers that you would get if you were playing, you're flagging everything, because you just can't. There's no reason to take on this pin. I'm going to hit in the middle. I'm going to 2-putt. I'm going to move on.
Course management. Right? Course management starts to shine.
So it's like, a lot of, and I've heard a lot of this narrative that off the tee obviously matters. Approach, doesn't matter as much. I almost disagree, because I feel like, if you can strike your irons where you want them, you may not get that stroke gain data actual point, right? You may not get those stroke gain numbers, but you have to miss it in the correct spots. You have to hit it in the correct spots. You may not, gain anything by doing so, but you need to be able to do that to win, because you can't make mistakes with your irons.
That almost spins back to course history.
A little bit.
We're going to keep touching on this, I guess, but it's like you can take all the strokes gained approach data and all the irons data in the world you want, and there's something that's not quantitative that almost has to be mixed into this. You need someone who's not an idiot. Like, you basically,
unless it's someone.
Yeah, Phil can play. Phil can do whatever he wants sometimes, but not anymore. But I mean, you do need somebody who's technically sound, and sometimes it comes down to the caddy. Honestly, having a good stickman's good, but like someone who can put it wherever they want it and is willing to put it where it needs to go. Because you do see some, there's holes where you shouldn't take chances. Like, you take a chance, you're in a collection area, and then now you're trying to get up and down, and there's nowhere to get up to. So you're going to get up and then 2-putt still, where, sometimes it's not like laying up, but there's like layup spots on some of these greens where I'm determined. I can't score on this hole. I don't want to lose strokes on this hole though. This needs to be a par hole for me.
Even to follow up with that, I saw a couple of comments from Cantlay and Morikawa, who I think both could win this golf tournament. And they basically said, you see it on TV, you're there forever, and you want to be able to hit it right to left or left to right. You want to be able to hit all the different shots, and it kind of takes you out of your game. And they both said, like, Cantlay plays a draw, Morikawa plays a fade. Cantlay's like, I just need to I need to play my game, and work with that, not trying to sling it right to left because the whole quote unquote calls for it, right? And Cantlay said the same thing. He's like, I know he's a right to left player. That's how I play. Like, I need to bring my game to this golf tournament. Whereas, we watch it all of our lives growing up, and you see, certain holes where you have to hit a slinger, and now you're up there. You're like, I gotta work this thing 20 yards. That's not necessary. So some experience probably helps in that, and it sounds like from those guys' perspective, it definitely helps because they're going into it, and what they said now, whether or not they actually execute that, is I'm playing my game on this golf course. I didn't before, but I know what I can do, so I'm gonna have to put that through. Everyone says you have to hit a draw off the tee. DJ hits a high cut every single time, 100%, and is the all-time scoring record there. So there's a lot of different ways to get it done. I think it's the guys who can keep within their game are probably the ones who will be most successful.
Okay. All right. Well, let's in keeping going down sort of these elite guys and soliciting some thoughts from you on this. In the same sense that Bryson feels a little underbuzz this year relative to last year, the Spieth buzz is out of control. I mean, this is out of control. I get it. I'm not saying he can't win because he won last week or because he played last week. I'm not saying that he's not going to be in the mix here, but I have a very hard time getting on board with him being anywhere close to the top of this futures board, let alone in some places, depending on where you shop, he's the favorite practically. This is a guy who a year ago was, I think he bottomed out at 92 on the official world golf ranking. He, until the Waste Management Open, he didn't really show us anything that I thought was noteworthy, after the restart. But he's had a couple of nice performances this spring, capped off with finally getting a win last weekend in Texas. I guess, are you buying into the hype at all? The Spieth hype at all, James? And if not, how are we attacking this?
This is a fun one. Is this the biggest storyline leading it up into Augusta?
Probably,
sure,
yeah,
right. I mean, no doubt.
In the absence of Tiger Woods, I think
which is great because we have a lot of buzz without him, right? So
yeah,
right. It's wonderful. Hey, let me just give you some stats real quick, okay? Gained 7.4 strokes on approach at Valero, 6.2 strokes on approach at Players, 5.5 strokes on approach at the API, and 4 at the AT&T, and 7.8 at the Waste. That's ultra elite shit. Like, that's like wildly good. That's JT Morikawa shit. Not very many guys in this world can do that, right? That's my case for him, I guess. And obviously with the W, one of the best putters ever. I mean, that's goes without saying.
Sure.
Should he be priced at 8-1? Absolutely not. That's absolutely wild. Should he be even remotely priced with like DJ and
what is fair
price?
20-1?
20. Yeah. I make him like 21, something like that.
18
like,
to 20.
Yeah. Which is totally fair. So, but here's the thing. The books will get all the Spieth tickets they can ever ask for. So why wouldn't they make that number?
Sure,
right?
and all he needs to do is hit a couple birdies early on
so make
Thursday,
birdies,
and there's going to be another stampede of people who want in on this.
So again, I mean, we have to consider this as a whole market, right? Like they are getting all the Spieth money that they could ever ask for. So of course they're going to make it 10-8. Like why wouldn't they? Because they'll still bet that shit. So
well, it's like the Tiger numbers where it used to be like, well, shit, everyone's going to bet on him. We can't put him what he should be. We're going to have to put him where we're comfortable taking, the number one amount of action we're going to take this weekend. Yeah. And the Spieth thing was interesting too, because what was it? I'm trying to think which was it. Waste Management, was that one where he really started?
Yeah, that was one. Brooks beat him with the hole out that was just awesome. But
flagging everything.
Yeah, I mean his irons.
He was on fire there.
It's like, the irons bail out the other parts of the play sometime. When everything, like I said, when everything started to come back, all the other parts of the play coming back, it's like, oh shit, now the irons are like the cherry on top. And, we the first week we're like, all right, let's take it easy. We won't fade him next week. we'll just, we won't bet against him. We're not betting on him. And then he just keeps doing it. It's like, all right, he might be a bet on. This is wild.
Yeah.
But I mean,
okay.
Here's the thing though. He still sucks with a driver in his hand. He's average tour player. I mean, you gain 0.9 off the tee en route to a victory, spraying it all over the place. He's never been a long guy, so it's like there's still a huge holes in his game, and especially with the driver. Now he can make up with it with the putter and with his chipping, but at the same time, it's like I just to be there, that's wild, absolutely wild.
He's even money.
Price-wise, it's ridiculous.
He's even money head to head right now against Cantlay. He's even money head to head right now against Rory McIlroy. He is dog to Justin Thomas.
That one I won't bet.
You're out on
Rory.
The Rory Spieth thing. Rory has a weird thing going on right now with his distance and what I mean. They both could have some awful days off the tee. Who's to say who has the worst one? And they both can make up with it in other parts of the game. Like the Rory Spieth bet. Or the Rory Spieth matchup is such a quick cross off.
okay. We'll get to some matchups that you guys have thoughts on that. But before we do,
props just now.
Make the case for me to back my guy John Rombo as the first. He would pop his cherry in terms of winning a slam or major. He would kind of carry on the progression of improving year over year here in terms of his performance. He was in the mix last year. I think at one point he was the second. He was like a couple strokes behind DJ and the second second odds favorite in live, but finished ninth or something like that. So he's a new dad. People love to talk about that having a mental impact on a golf player. There was questions whether he's even going to be available for this tournament because he was planning on leaving were his wife to go into labor during the tournament. That's obviously now off the table. I'm assuming he had to travel. His wife was in Florida, maybe? Okay, so he didn't have to go back to. He didn't have to go to Spain and then come back to Georgia. Okay,
she's an American girl.
Okay, so what am I missing something in the case for Rahm because he hasn't won anything this year? In fact, he hasn't exactly looked like he has cared a lot about golf as much as other things going on in his life, if I had to say so. Is it literally just the new dad effect, the nappy factor that has people fired up about him? Because he's might close the favorite at bookmaker here. That he has taken a massive amount of money in the last 48 hours in the futures market at bookmaker. He is now 10-1 with DJ at plus 925.
I make him the favorite. So
okay.
What's his worst finish this year, James?
Quiz. The 32nd at the weird concession thing, which
everything else is top 15. Yeah. Most of them top 10. 3 straight
top 10s at Augusta. I mean, there's really no argument against him at this point, other than the baby thing, which he cleared that. Good for her. Nice job. Get that thing out of the way.
Although, can we question Rahm's planning here? Like, did he not expect them to get the Masters off in April of 2021 or what? I mean,
a lot of weird shit happened during COVID, Drew. So
it was pretty questionable planning by Mr. John Rombo. But anyway,
hey man, I get it. So, anyways, the thing that for me that always, I didn't think this was a golf course for Rahm because it's always been you have to hit irons well, and he's in that for all of his game. He's never been an ultra elite iron player ever. Like he's an ultra elite driver, he's an ultra elite putter. He's not an ultra elite iron player, but he made an equipment change in at the start of this season, and man, he's been hitting his irons so fucking good. Like it's wild how good he's been his irons. I mean, 4.7 strokes at the Players.
It's been nuts.
4.8 at Genesis, 5.4 at the Waste. And those are like the best he's ever in his history. That's the best 3 out of 4 week stretch. And he did lose strokes at the WGC Mexico weird tournament or weird golf course. I mean that's the best he's ever hit. From an iron standpoint. And if he ever coupled his iron play with his putter, which he switched his putters, which has had an effect on him, which I think is natural. He hasn't been the ultra elite putter that he was, last year or basically his entire career. Picked up a couple strokes at the Players. We haven't seen him obviously, but he lost strokes putting in 3 straight. I don't think he's ever done that prior to that. Prior to the Waste Management this year. He's going to gain off the tee. You need to gain off the tee here. If he has that iron play that he's shown, over the last 2 months, he's going to be right there. There's no holes in his game. I make him the favorite. I don't have a bet on him because I placed my bets before he had his damn kid.
Yeah.
But he's the favorite to me.
The last time he gained 5 strokes on approach in a tournament was at another. Well, I mean, we've said it was actually a more difficult course, a much more difficult course, especially how they played it. Was this? Am I misremembering how COVID went? Did they play there twice in a row?
Yep, they did. And the first time they played it easy. The second time it was an absolute, like they dropped a
they did the workday thing or whatever. Yep. But yeah, Memorial was playing like a nightmare, and that's some of the reason, because strokes gained is a relative, stat. You're comparing yourself against the field, but he just looked unbothered while people were ejecting and people were getting mad, and the course superintendent was just twiddling his mustache like a villain, and people were seriously ejecting, and he just was unbothered.
Jack went on TV and was like, "Watch this, motherfucker!" Like he's like, "Wait till you see this shit." Like I'm about to, all this distance, all this stuff. Watch this, and they completely gutted the golf course as soon as they were behind the guys as they were going. Digging up greens, because Jack was like, I don't care. We're changing the greens. We're going to burn this thing out. This is going to play a lot closer to that than it will anything else. I mean, this will be the closest tournament to what they saw at Memorial as they've seen since.
Okay. Wow.
I like him.
Okay.
Andy, not to like him.
All the
Andy,
top 5.
Are you bought in on the Rahm nappy factor?
I like him. It sucks. It's such a low number, but I'm fine betting low numbers here. He's going to be in my portfolio. Rahm and Bryson will be in my portfolio. Price, I don't want to say like price be damned. I'm still going to shop and try to find the best one, and it sucks I didn't have him early, but maybe I can find something decent on him. He'll be in there just because he is playing well.
They added they added a bunch of matchups now that we know he's for sure going to play.
Baby swag too.
He is a even money against against DJ head to head. Slight favorite over JT, meaningful favorite over Bryson, and monster favorite over Rory.
But I think it's important to note, like betting matchups and betting outrights are completely different.
Sure.
I mean,
apples and potatoes.
So high. Like it's his floor is like top 10 here. I feel like
wow.
Bryson could completely eject, and we saw it, but I would say Bryson's ceiling is probably a little bit higher just based upon what we've seen, and obviously put the U.S. Open in your in your mind and think about what he did there. So that is an interesting topic on how you would approach outrights versus full tournament head to head, because I'm never backing Bryson as a dog to Rahm. No,
Rahm is plus 100 top 10, so even 50-50, and bookmaker will take 20K to win 20K on that. Interestingly,
I found one I kind of like on him.
Dead heat will supply.
Yeah,
that's bullshit.
3-1. Jon Rahm bogey free round, any round.
Well, that's hard. I don't like that.
It's hard to do.
It's way harder than people think.
I like props. I know. Yeah. Anybody who plays DFS knows how hard it is to find that bogey-free round. Getting that bogey-free round bonus. Bet Online has just like nothing but Bryson props again. I mean, there's a bunch of other. There's so many. I'm joking, but there's a whole Bryson section.
Yeah.
So
and
funny.
here's one he owes me this too, and I will bet this again. Will he drive the third green? It's a 350-yard hole. He got it right up on the lip like 3 times. And then one was kind of a bad drive. I think maybe caught a bunker or something, but I don't think he did it in November. I'm going to go double check that, because I feel like I bet it, and I bet it like him to drive the third green on the first round as well. I had a bunch of Bryson props, so you can tell how my Masters went. It wasn't great, but I will probably be betting some of these. Bryson to make an albatross, 66-1. That's a terrible number. They're only offering one way because nobody bet minus 100,000 the other way. But there's no chance of that. I'll still probably put like a few bucks on that just to have the ticket when it happens. The best one is Bryson to score a 10 or higher on any hole, 100-1.
What was the one where he missed the cut because he hit like a 10?
It was a 10.
Was it the U.S. Open? Or no, that was
Memorial.
PGA? Memorial.
Oh,
no, it was Memorial.
Okay. That was awesome.
just looking at
10 cup shit. It was pretty incredible. Really.
Okay, so let's. I think we've done a fair. No, you don't. Nobody's got a real appetite to get involved with JT. He's just kind of unsexy, and nobody.
I bet JT.
Oh, you bet JT. Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, just not. I make it the second favorite here.
Okay.
Elite Iron's obviously, the most elite iron player in the world. This side of, Mark out with him, but I think JT has a longer track record. He checks that box for having a solid, early 2021. I mean, he won the Players. If he
he's
can
had a good year.
If he could just gain 2 strokes putting over the course of the 4 days, I think he wins personally. If he could do that, I think he wins. Because he will lead this field. I'd like some odds on him to lead this field in stroke chain approach. I would take, he will likely do that.
I'm not sure why, but in the back of my head, other than his 2017 PGA Championship win, I've been underwhelmed by his play at majors.
It's been underwhelming. That's why.
Is there a mental thing going on there? I mean, there's obviously a mental thing with Rory at this particular golf course. but
he keeps winning though. He won. He has a WGC. CJ Cup, which is a decent field because they just pay everyone to go. I mean, the guy has I think it's 10 wins and he's 27.
Sure.
It's just hard to win majors ultimately, right?
I bet him to win the Masters at 50 to 1 year.
Oh, that's
how long I've been betting on JT. That's even before I did go. That was when he was young. That was 6-7 years ago at least, I suppose.
And I just feel like I like guys who have elite skills at something, whether it's putting, whether it's off the tee, and in Justin Thomas's case, he's the most elite iron player. So I like shit. He has 16 professional wins. I mean, what are we even talking about? He's going to win majors. It's just going to happen. And whether it's here, we'll see. But I make him second to Rahm. Basically, him and DJ are a coin flip for me, and that's just based on what I've seen from him in 2021.
Okay.
14 wins on tour. I mean, that's a lot of fun.
Let's look past the top of the board here and make a case for me for a couple other guys you got on your card for outrights.
Patrick Reed is the most disrespected golfer every single week, and it's wild to me. I mean, you're looking at anywhere from 30 to even. I heard people tell me that they're picking off 40 to 1s on Patrick Reed, who's won here. So if you're into the course history narrative, shit, Bookmaker has him at 88 right or 38 right now. That's wild. He has a win early. Check that box. He's won here. So if you like the course history stuff, check that box. And he has 9 wins on tour. That's more than Finau, who's priced less. That's more than Cantlay. That's more than Xander. That's more than Morikawa. That's more than Rahm. What are we even doing here, putting him in that price when he's proven to win at elite places across his entire career? That's just nobody likes the dude, so nobody bets him. So that I'll take him every single time at that.
Okay,
yeah, I like him too.
Okay, Andy, how about you? Anybody off the top of the board that you're especially hot on?
No, I mean Reed was a good example just because he should be 25 to 1.
Yeah.
It's just the wrong number for a guy who's won, a guy who plays well at tough courses, a guy who, if he does get in trouble here, he's so good. Not just, I don't even consider it all scrambling, even, taking a wayward tee shot and making something. He just makes chicken salad out of chicken shit consistently, and he can play here with these top players, and he's done it before, and he has a bunch of wins. He's a good player.
Spieth over Reed. Are we serious? Why would Spieth be that much shorter in price? That's wild. Those guys should be. If anything,
we love Spieth. We hate Reed.
I make Reed. I make Reed to win this golf tournament a little bit of a favorite over Spieth. So
that's cool.
Webb at 45 or better, I don't hate. It's tough to make a case for some of these other guys. Berger's probably priced about where he needs to be, but I might bet him anyway just because I do love some Danny Berger. In the last 10 months, he's been so good so many times. He maybe should be 35 to 1. It's not like his price is way off, but he might be a guy I bet. There's nobody really long. Abe Answer's a guy I love all the time, but I don't love him here. He's 100 to 1, maybe a few bucks just because he owes me. And then
you can get Reed at 40 to 1.
We need some each ways on those guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Some of these longer shots, I'm not real keen on taking a long shot here, where like James just said, an each way. Some of these guys are just going to be top 20, top 10 bets.
Okay.
If you really like somebody that's 80, 100, 120 to 1.
How about one that I bet
maybe
that's
bet some top 20s too.
Tell me
Sungjae.
if I made a mistake here. Sungjae 60 to 1. He was a debutant last year. I'm not sure if you saw. He finished second. He was and honestly, like he hasn't looked. He's been flying a little bit under the radar this season. He did well, I thought, defending his title in I can't remember which tournament it was now. Which one was it?
Honda.
Yeah, Honda. Thank you. At the Honda. And I like the idea of a guy who came in here debutante and played as comfortably as he did last year, really, because he looked unflappable last year. Like, yeah, I kept waiting for the implosion and it just never came. Like, he was just steady as she goes. So that's the kind of constitution I'm interested in the 60-1 shot. He's also top Asian at 2-1.
What's Decky?
Plus 145. Siwoo Kim is plus 365 and CT Pan is plus 700. What am I missing on or at least maybe, why is the market cooler on Sungjae than I am?
He just hasn't been striking his irons very well. He's been getting it done off the tee and with the flat stick, which is fine. That's a recipe for success at Augusta. He can absolutely strike his irons. Like he's shown that in his career. He's lost strokes on approach in 5 of his last 6 outings, so that's not ideal. But he's also gained putting. I mean, these are like elite putting numbers for basically the last year or for 2021. Can he win? I don't know. I don't know how he stares down DJ again. We saw how that worked out. I don't know how he stares down JT. Where he's at in his game, I don't think he's quite ready for a major victory, just because that's a lot of pressure. I like guys who just have a little bit of pedigree.
Yeah, ask Tony how that went on a Sunday, walking with the big cat.
That's a whole other world, but
that's a whole different kind of mental block.
I love him for top 20, top 10, totally cool. I mean, his driving is insanely elite. Like, looking at these numbers, I didn't know he's driving the ball as well as he has, and he's putting it like a god. If he could ever get back to just the way he struck his irons prior to the Masters last year en route, like you said, to a second place finish. I mean, he gained strokes on approach I'm looking at before the Masters last year in 8 of his last 9, including 5.7 at the U.S. Open and 4.5 at the Tour Championship prior to. So
yeah, he's had a really solid year. His last calendar year has been
very good, very good. And he's a grinder.
I have him top 15 golfer in the world, and at 60-1, that's not a fair price in my mind.
I like it.
What do I know?
I think I agree with you, but
it's like Sergio Garcia is 60-1. Matthew Fitzpatrick is 46 to 1.
Sergio played well at the match play.
All right,
Sergio. Yeah, he's one here. Sungjae fault. I agree, but disagree with Drew there. Like, I agree with Sungjae's form, but I just don't. Like, it's one of those 60s wrong, but I just don't see him winning.
Well, there's a lot of wrong numbers.
Okay. That's where it's like, I would love Sungjae M as a top 20 bet. Like, he will be I will have a lot of top 20 bets, and he will be one of them for sure. For all the points you made, I just can't bet him to win.
And this is like the funny thing. Like, you're grabbing, we could have grabbed a million numbers in January and February and had insane CLV on those things, but still can't win the golf tournament. So, it's like, did you get a good number? Yeah, but like, these guys aren't winning. Like, I just feel like it's coming from, the top of this market. Anything less than 40, 50, I would be shocked.
Okay. So just in quick summary, DJ, overpriced. Rahm, underpriced. Thomas, underpriced. Spieth, overpriced. DeChambeau, fairly priced at this point at 11, but you got him at 13, you said?
I'm not sure what Andy thinks about this, though. Like, what do you do here? Because I think the market is priced pretty well, like, if you're not shopping. So you kind of have to take some stands on guys who are priced correctly that you still have to, that you want to bet, right? Does that make sense?
It's like the antithesis of what I just said. Like, hey, 60 is a really good number. It shouldn't be 60, but I'm still not betting it. It's the same thing in reverse, where it's like 11 might be a bad number, or 11 or 12 on Bryson. It might not be a good number. He should probably be like 14, but I'm still betting it because he can win this tournament. Like, it doesn't make sense mathematically at all, but this is a tournament where I throw math out the window a little on some of these outrights.
Okay, so
I think that's fair.
I'm throwing Rory McIlroy out. Just haven't seen enough this year. Haven't seen him mentally enough that he's going to do well here at a place that has haunted him. I'm going to throw Xander Schauffele out. I haven't liked his form really at all in 2021.
Cannot
it has
close.
it has not been especially noteworthy. Patrick Cantlay also, I think, is a little overpriced at 24-1. I get it. He's a great golfer. I get it. There's times you absolutely want him in the futures market, but I don't know about it here at Augusta, where he has performed pretty pedestrianly. And yeah, it's a 24-1 is not enough of a price. Similarly, Brooks with the injury question mark swirling. I don't know that we see 4 days of golf out of him.
35 is interesting though.
It's a big enough
If
number.
he's
for you to get
healthy,
involved
that's
with?
an obscene number.
I mean, it's almost to the point where it's like, this is Brooks Koepka. He's an absolute monster. I don't know what to do with that.
Does he have has he, I'm going to go back and check. Has he done well at majors in the past?
He had a putt for a playoff Tiger.
Fake out. Yeah, if we got the fake out and he's healthy, that's an obscene number.
I don't know what to do with that. No idea.
And also speaking of math, just because I have like 14 tabs open now, you can arbitrage the hole-in-one price. Not for a lot, but it overlaps. Like there's places that have plus 160 and there's places that got minus 150.
Okay. So Colin Morikawa, 40-1.
Too
That
high.
looks tempting. It looks tempting.
I mean, him and JT are the best iron players in the world. So, his distance will hurt him here. Lack of, I should say. But, you're not getting him at that price at any other tournament. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Probably for the rest of his career.
Here's one that doesn't make sense. Tony Finau is 33-1.
He's minus 110 to play second.
Is this just a he's due bet? Like somebody's out there martingaling Tony Finau every tournament until he finally wins? What's happening here?
I would love to know who's betting Tony Finau to win this. I have no idea.
Okay,
That's wild.
I have nothing against Tony Finau. He seems like a great guy. I love the Tony Finau where he be now rap that Verno does.
Well, I also think, oh god, that was awesome. I also think, like, okay, so, and this is interesting because you'll get a lot of the very statistically driven guys saying it's just bad luck that he hasn't finished. Like, so I mean, because he's statistically he should have had multiple wins on tour. So so maybe those guys are driving this number who don't actually watch golf and understand golf, and they're making him 33. I don't know. Is that fair?
Sometimes there's signal in the noise and sometimes it's just noise, so it's tough for me to tell, but it certainly seems like he's not a guy that's going to get you to the finish line. But what do I know? And then after that, it's just a mess of players that anyone could pop up and do something interesting. It's funny you called out Abe Answer. He's 100-1. He's played well enough.
Final group last year in November. So I mean,
I'm gonna look for him top 20, and I'm probably gonna look for him in some groups.
Big fat.
If there's some 3-ball, or that's the fun part about these bigger ones. And if you have a lot of outs too, you could spend hours looking. There's these 5-person groups. There's the 3-ball groups. There's head-to-heads. There's top 20, top 10, top 5.
What do you want to
making
bet?
the cut?
It's there.
Whatever you want to bet on this. So yeah, get excited. And that's the thing. Like Koepka at one of my locals is 10-1, and he's 34 at 34.60 or whatever at Bookmaker right now. I feel so. Do shop around.
What number are you betting Brooks at?
34.60 is the best I'm seeing.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Are you gonna bet him?
34.65. Yeah, I bet that. I'm gonna bet it.
Well, he's at Sarcasm like 44.
Wow, really?
Well, I might head to Tahoe.
Okay. The some of the fun stuff about this tournament. Some of the fun props. The over under on winning score, 72-hole score, is 276.5. I think that means minus 11.5, if I'm correct. Do my math right there. I think does 288 is par. Does the winner shoot minus 12 or better, Andy?
Such a good number.
It's juiced to the piss skills though, isn't it? Or where are you looking for it at?
Under is juiced to the piss skills.
Yeah, I'm tempted to take like this plus 200 on the over and hope they made the course
Over
hard.
is actually under. Like over is less than that.
Over would be
Over
the
would be
winner is
your
11
score,
under or worse.
277. Yeah, the winner
Okay.
scores 277 minus 11. Your over is a winner. Yeah.
These are just so hard. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I hope so. I would love for this to be like a -8. That's to me, that's like the pure entertainment factor. I love that stuff.
Yeah,
but,
basically 2-1, they make the course hard.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe
sure.
a small tickle on that. I'm sure you can't put much on that. Nationalities, those are a lot of fun. I haven't got into all of those yet, but man, there's so many of those like top. I mean, not just it used to be you'd have like top American, top European, top Asian. Now it's like top Great Britain, top Swede,
South
top
African.
South African.
That's
When
a great
there's
one.
like a few South Africans. I mean, even they'll break up top Korean now. They'll break up the Asian, Australasian, top Australian. So those are going to be some fun ones. Hopefully,
I
this
think your
weekend-
bet's deck is Sungjae as top Asian.
plus 195. That's I'm gonna get down on some of that for sure. Okay, that seems.
I'm gonna
like
go half that, half top 20.
Top am. Is it this Tyler Strafacki guy?
Is Ogletree in it?
No, it's
No.
Tyler Strafacki, Joe Long, and Charles Osborne are the three.
Oh, that mid-am guy is always there. Must not be there. It's weird. I have no idea. I have no clue. Sorry.
It was weird. Some of the amateur tournaments that they play to get in weren't played this last year.
Yeah,
so.
what was our friend's low-am pick? Was it
I'd have to
Tyler?
go-
Is it
Who-
Tyler?
Say the three again. I'll probably. I wasn't.
Tyler Strafacci, Joe Long, and Charles Osborne.
I think it was Osborne.
Osborne's
Osborne's
4-1. We're gonna have to run that down. I'll run that down. But
I know.
while
I'm
I
going
do
to
that,
scroll back in a
Yeah.
chat for quite a while here.
top
Andy, do you know how many
yeah,
guys are not in this because of this amateur stuff? I mean, this is a smaller field than normal, right?
Yeah, I think there was 3 amateur tournaments that were canceled. A lot of the Asian amateur tournaments were canceled. I looked this up. So the other day I looked up like all the ways to make the Masters, and there was a really good site. I should try to find this site again because it listed it one by one, and it might have just been right on Augusta's website. Yeah, it was. If you've won the Masters, if you won the U.S. Open, British Open, PGA, but it's like if you win the Players, you're in for 3 years. If you're the current Olympic gold medalist, you're in. And a lot of there's a lot of overlap for that. But amateur champion, U.S. amateur, British amateur, Asian Pacific amateur, Latin American amateur, the mid amateur champion, and then it's like placing well last year, the top 12 from last year in the Masters. They do that for the other majors, and then the golf ranking stuff. So I think it was the Latin, the Asia Pacific, and then the U.S. mid amateur didn't get played, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's why
We
my
haven't
guy's
done
not
that.
in there. The mid-am guy wins every year. Like, is almost always the low am, but
Yeah.
didn't get played. That's why.
Okay, so how about top debutant? Will Zalatoris plus 135, Carlos Ortiz plus 185, Robert McIntyre, and then the amateurs.
I think this
Give me
what's McIntyre's
Ortiz.
number?
Ortiz is
250?
plus 185 for
Wow.
McIntyre is at plus 285.
Ooh, that's kind of tempting.
Probably it.
It's
Yeah.
not so basically not Zalatoris is what you're
Well, he's an awful putter, and I feel like these greens he's going to be like he might lead the field in 3 putts.
They're gonna wreck him.
So, yeah. I mean, obviously, very, very difficult green. He's a weird looking putter. He does weird shit.
What's his missed cut number? Let's find that.
So that's interesting to note. It's very hard to miss the cut here. Like you have to play absolute dog shit to miss the cut here.
Plus
Because you get
240. Plus 240 to miss the
What-
cut on young Mr. Will Zalatoris putting for the first time ever on the glass greens.
nah, he strikes it so good. It's because it's not just a normal 60 in ties or whatever it is. It's also anyone within 10 strokes. And so if it's going to play hard, I've lost a lot of
There's
money. on missed
legitimately, there's a scenario which highly unlikely where nobody ejects that no one misses the cut.
You can have that.
If the leaders don't run away and nobody has like a really bad day, I mean, there's a likelihood of like just a few guys missing the cut here. It is super weird. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how many people are in the field, but it is a titch smaller, something like 80, right?
Yeah, I thought it was like it used to be like 93 or 95 or something. Obviously, with the the limited guys now, but
Well, our guy is hot on Osborne as the low
89. Yeah, it was
Charles
Osborne.
Osborne
89
plus
players.
405.
is he the Wake Forest kid? Is that he played well? I'm not looking it up now. Damn it.
Yeah, that's interesting that he's the
Ozzy's kid.
Wake Forest, I think he went to. Right?
Ollie
Charles
Osborne, he went
golf.
to SMU.
He's a Reno, Nevada native. How about that? All right. Well, I guess any other fun stuff popping out for you, Andy? And I guess what's your routine? You stream all day, the Thursday and Friday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember, he's too busy this week, but it was like, it's funny. My job now is funny. Like I was trying to do some work on Thursday because I felt like I should do work because I'm at work, and I texted Reed, and it was almost like, aren't you watching the Masters? Like what are you doing? like it's almost like a holiday for us here. So yeah, I got my second TV set up right now, so I'll be streaming that all day long while I'm trying to get ready for round 2 because I'm gonna bet my face off.
Do you have a favorite hole?
Every hole.
What do you? I can just. Off
the rails.
I'm gonna have to cut that up. Probably Chinese fur.
Really?
Whatever it is.
Wow.
Cherry
Chinese fur? Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of good holes. Firethorn, Sugarbud.
You know why the where the names come from, right?
They're from plants.
I know. You know where they came from, right?
The plants that grow on the course. I don't know. Like
before it was the golf course, it was a nursery, and so they had a whole variety of trees and plants and flowers. That
I'm gonna feel bad if Chinese fir wasn't one.
Chinese fir is one. It's hole 14. 14 kind of sucks. That's
what
the
is
one
actually your favorite hole?
Yeah, 14 is brutal because like you go through the roller coaster of 11, 12,
Red
13,
bud.
and then you're like, just get to 15 and 16. Like let's just see who can score and who misses here.
Redbud.
Redbud is your favorite favorite hole. Interesting. Shocking.
I'll be in
Red
Vegas.
Bud
So
is
if anyone
good.
wants to come
16.
hang out, I'll be at Circle on Thursday. So
Oh, nice.
come on down.
Awesome, man.
Have some
That's
beers.
awesome.
Claws,
Are you-
whatever.
I guess are you going to get more action down once you know how they seed the groups, and do you care about who's playing, who gets an afternoon tea time on Thursday? Because the
No,
winner
well-
is usually coming out of that group.
It's a good question. I haven't necessarily looked at the wave split. Again, when you have a smaller field, it matters less, right? Because there's not a long lit AM PM per se, right? And they're all going off one. So we'll see. I don't know. I'll definitely bet it. I don't care.
Traditionally, the Thursday late, Friday early group
Has been good.
is who is in pole position.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
And also, traditionally, after round 1, you need to be top 10.
Unless you're Tiger Woods.
Unless you're Tiger Woods, and there's only one Tiger Woods on this planet, so you
I think
better
it
be
was-
within the top 10.
What was it? It was like you have to be within 5 strokes of the leader or something, because he was like he was 2 under, and I think 3 under was the cut.
I think it's within 4 strokes or top 10.
Yeah, and so he was 1 stroke less than whatever that trend had been,
Yeah,
and he won, and it's
Yeah.
still the greatest sporting moment of my life. So
yeah, that was excellent. That was excellent.
Paul Pierce got fired.
Oh,
Weird.
From ESPN?
shocking!
Yeah, he's
Shocker.
gonna miss his
Okay,
analysis.
all
that's
right.
for sure.
Final prediction,
All
Andy. Putting you on the spot. Who you got? Who wins the Masters? 2020.
Don't take my guy. You already want to pick. Dude, no.
I'll let you say Rom, so that's fine.
No, not me.
So-
You can take Ron.
Okay, I'll take Bryson.
You get one pick. Who's your guy?
Bryson.
Bryson. All right.
It's my guy.
Till he wins it. I'm gonna pick till he wins it.
Okay.
Take JT.
Okay. All right. JT, Bryson. I'll take Rom. I'll go with the nappy. I'll ride the nappy
What a snag.
factor.
I love
Yeah. I like it. I like it. I
Top of
like
the
it.
board. Chalky. It's gonna be a
The
chalky Masters.
Spanish legacy at Augusta carries on. New father John Rahm. That's a story. Wins his first ever major at Augusta. That story writes itself, guys.
It's got to hit further.
All right.
In the
Well, I
cabin.
appreciate all your time. I know how busy this week is for you, and but it's always fun catching up, and hopefully people found this useful.
for having me on, guys.
We'll do some more Masters content. Maybe a live stream, Andy. You got a live stream in
knows?
you on maybe at halftime after
there's a-
Friday. After
What
Friday,
the fuck is halftime?
Do a cut
Okay,
sweat.
Friday
we
afternoon,
usually
yeah.
we typically do a halftime screen. A halftime.
Yeah, we have
screen.
done that. I am dangerously close to figuring out how to play my Nintendo on Twitch.
Oh,
So I might be doing a course preview by playing the course.
ooh.
Oh
I
my
will
gosh.
watch that. I will
Yes.
tune in for that. I can't wait to talk about that. And you
I'm
now
trying to
know
get
that
someone else to
Chinese.
play with me.
You now know Chinese fur is hole number 14, the lousiest hole in the back nine, in my opinion.
9
That's
beers,
just
9
my
hot dogs, 9 holes. God, that'd be way harder than 9 innings.
You can do
9
9
holes is
hot
like an hour.
dogs.
9 holes is like an hour and a half for me.
I
play
could do
pretty
9
quick
beers,
round.
9 hot dogs, 9 holes. That'd be fun. I could do that.
Next, when we're in San Diego.
We're
Play
not
a
doing
course
halftime tonight. Sorry, Sam. But enjoy the night. It's going to be halftime's
Yeah,
like,
enjoy the
like
natty.
midnight East Coast. So
Yeah, fuck
Can't
that.
stay up for
I
that.
didn't stay up.
You're up. Come on. You have to.
I know.
all right. Well, best of luck, guys. This was a ton of fun.
Love it, boys.
And, I hope.
Thanks, James.
I can't wait to hear you guys on the. Welcome, by the way, to Team Matchbook. I can't wait to hear you guys on the Matchbook preview.
Yeah, we finally won some awards.
breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, we finally winning some awards.
Kind of
Yeah,
bumped it up to get it.
yeah, can't wait to hear you guys break down some of your favorite head-to-heads as those markets start to shape up. And best of luck, especially to my guy John Rome.
There we go. Love it. Thanks, boys.
Yeah, good work. Can't believe it's Masters Week. This came so fast.
Well, it's because we had a Masters Week already.
It's because it's like 5 months. It's in a rearview mirror only by 5 months. So yeah, got a little taste of it in the fall.
Do. James is muted.
James doesn't know he's
Talking.
muted. Yeah.
He has to unmute himself.
Do, do,